We've been talking all week about choosing a pathway. And today we're going to talk about that big fear. I know you know what I mean. I know you're already tracking with me. See what we have to say about it coming up on today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom, happy Wednesday, hump day, middle of the week. We're working towards the end of the week. I'm pretty excited. Yay. Did that sound sincere?
It sounded like you just took a big drink of coffee and the caffeine just hit you like it was an IV in your veins.
First of all, I do drink coffee. Second of all, it's decaf. Can you imagine me with caffeine? Come on, man.
That's what I thought I was just experiencing. So
No, that was me trying to wind it up.
Fair enough. I'm well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I've got a little juggling going on, but it's all good.
Okay.
I find myself, I was supposed to do some travel today and tomorrow, and now I find I'm not doing that travel, which means I have 2 days to work on stuff. And I'm trying to use it as 2 days to work on stuff I wouldn't normally work on. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's like I found 2 work days that I didn't know I had.
Well, you had them. You just chose a different pathway.
Right. Correct. Yes.
And now the pathway has changed.
Okay. Yes. There you
go. We'll get to that in a moment. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each morning we have a conversation around a topic. And this week's topic is, as Bob mentioned, is choosing a pathway. Today we'll discuss the fear. And as we go through that conversation, if you have any thoughts or ideas, please feel free to share them in the comments, wherever you happen to be following us, whether that would be on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or
LinkedIn Live, baby.
Yeah, LinkedIn Live, baby. I don't know what's going on over there, and that's okay. And at the conclusion of our conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, or today's antidote. That thing that we hope will help you, maybe today, although maybe somewhere down the road when you're stuck and can't figure out how to take your next step. You will have this antidote in your head to help you move forward. And of course, if you have that one thing that you'd like to share, please feel free to put it in the comments as well. Because we know that when we share our value, someone else has the opportunity to benefit, and it might be just what they're looking for. So please feel free to share away. Before we dive into our conversation,
Hey, Tom, I just want to say we have Troy with us this morning. I was trying to figure out what Troy says. Wow, I think he's making a comment about my coffee because he replies afterwards, coffee. So there's Troy responding. And so thank you, Troy, for being with us this morning.
Looks like he's trying to track you down as well. So.
No, I'm trying to track him down, if you want to know the truth.
So you're the other Facebook user that doesn't have
I am the other Facebook user. I have no idea why that came up that way today.
Fair enough. Well, good morning, Troy. Thanks for being a part of our show today. So before we dive into our conversation, though, we'll welcome Troy and we'll do our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
I'm going to celebrate a discussion I had with a friend last night who shared with me some really tough love, said some things to me that I needed to hear in a way that I heard them, and really made me rethink some things that I thought I was pretty set on. And so that really, it caused me to sleep better last night, and it causes me to look at my day today more eagerly. And it wasn't something easy to say. It's not something I would have said to a person very easily or lightly, but it really made a difference for me. So I celebrate the fact that I have people in my life that are willing to say the hard things to me and get through my head, because I don't think this is the first time that person told me this. It's just the first time I heard it. How's that for cryptic?
That's fairly well done.
Thank you.
And it's just feedback. It's one person.
Yes. Yes. But sometimes someone gives you feedback that's really powerful feedback that you hadn't considered.
Sure. It was kind of them to share their value.
Yes.
And then you can have a choice to determine how much it impacts what's
Correct.
right for you.
Correct. In this case, there was a great deal of impact.
Wonderful.
Which was my choice. And so today I actually go down a different pathway because of it.
Very good to hear.
How about you?
Today I am celebrating that I had I'm celebrating a great conversation I had yesterday around a new opportunity that tomorrow I get a chance to do another presentation. So I'm excited about. We had a conversation around what it would look like, what they were expecting and what they were hoping for, a little bit about the audience. And I'm fired up about the opportunity to lead that discussion tomorrow. So I'm celebrating the fact that I'll be doing some work on that today and something that I'll really enjoy.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
One of us has really bad internet this morning. I'm not sure which. Is it you or is it me?
I think it might be you. You seem to be a little slow. I seem to be okay. I haven't got the your signal is weak message yet. So
let me see if I can switch that up.
In the middle of things, huh? Interesting. Now you'll probably freeze and be gone, and I'll be on my own for a while, like it looks like you have done. So Bob has frozen. So while we wait for Bob to get unfrozen,
I'm back.
Bob is back. All right. So for you podcast people, Bob seemed to have lost his internet, or he switched it, or something happened. Anyhow,
I switched. You know me. I'm always trying to make this a better program.
Fair enough. All right. So let's dive into our conversation today about choosing a pathway. And, we talked about the challenges. We talked a little bit about why it matters. So today we're going to talk about the fear associated with it. Do you want to kick us off, Bob, and share some thoughts?
I would love to. I see how you set me up. So,
question.
The big fear, everyone knows it, is that we're going to make a wrong decision. We're going to go down the wrong pathway. We're going to do something wrong. It's going to be fatal. It's going to be a huge mistake. It's going to cause us all kinds of trouble. And Tom and I were talking before the program about a situation where I was going to do some travel. And one of the key reasons why I was going to do that travel, the person I was going to meet with told me that I couldn't meet with him. His schedule changed, and that's fine. And I opted not to go do that travel. There were other people I could have met. There were other opportunities potentially, but I chose the pathway of not going because my fear still is, if I went, I'm just sitting here going, oh, this is going to get me to think about going now. My fear is if I went and it didn't manifest what I hoped it would be a disappointment. It would be expensive to do the travel. It would be time consuming. It would be a black eye to me internally that I did this trip. I expected these things to happen and it just didn't work out. And as I say that out loud now, that's what was going through my head. As I say it out loud right now, it doesn't sound like a big deal. I'm not getting 58 people commenting going, oh my God, you're so smart for not doing that. Oh, it would have been fatal. And I think that's what we do. We think of these things as life and death, when in fact they're just things that we can choose. And had I gone to Cleveland for this thing and it hadn't panned out, hey, I've done plenty of things that haven't panned out. I can think of a person who has a list of them. And, that's part of life, I think, for all of us, is we try things and some work and some don't work. But as we're choosing a pathway, that fear around what if I make the wrong choice is really strong. I mean, ask anyone who sells cars and they'll tell you, when the person says, I'm going to buy this car, before they sign for the car, there's usually fear like, oh, I hope I got the right car. I hope it's going to not be a lemon. I hope it's going to be this. I hope it's not going to be that. And I think we do that just because it matters to us. And how we're perceived in the world, I think, matters to us. I know for me, that's a big part of it. It's like if I'd done this thing and it didn't work out, I would not have wanted Tom or someone else to say to me, hey, Bob, what were you thinking? Even though the reality is, I don't think there's anyone in my life that would have said, hey, what were you thinking? I think they would have been like, hey, sounds like, hope it was useful. The only person saying, hey, what were you thinking is me inside.
Well, I think that's half the challenge, right? Is that the fear is usually around what it's not often. I mean, sometimes others will share their thoughts and ideas that may make you question what you did. Usually it's what are the things that we tell ourselves or worried about from ourselves. Because I think that so often, we set these expectations, which is normal. It's just what it is. It's when you made a choice based on something that you were hoping that you were going to be able to accomplish. You're going to meet with this person that's going to have this type of value and expectations. And as a part of that, you would then move on and I feel like I'm hearing myself back again.
I don't know it's just been a weird technology morning.
That's okay. I think that you made the choice to go based on what you thought success would look like. Meet with this guy. Oh yeah, I can also meet with some other people. This is an industry that I want to be connected and associated with. I've been in the past. There's value in that. And so I think that it makes sense to think that, okay, well, this is the reason that I'm choosing this path. That you were choosing to go out there for 2 days and take and spend whatever was going to you had to spend to do it. And so we set ourselves up for the expectations that could arrive. Rather than if you had just said, hey, you know what, this conference goes, I think it makes sense. I think it'd be a good place for me to be. And make that choice. I think your choice in some ways.
Based on that little bit of information?
Well, I mean,
wow.
Except that
in addition, I don't think I've made one choice in my life with that little thought. Except
think about it, though. For you, this wasn't like it was a brand new organization that you had never been a part of. Or or you wouldn't know anyone there. So you had some knowledge, experience, and perspective around it. And so you could have just said, hey, you know what? I think this would be a good place. I think this would be a beneficial place for me to be because I think of all the people I could connect with. That could have been a choice to say, okay, great, I'm going to go.
Now I have this fear that's bubbling up that I made the wrong choice by not going. It's so funny.
I think that's the challenge is that the fear of missing out is, as much as I hate it when people say FOMO, I think there's a reality to it is like, what will I miss? What won't go well? Rather than just, hey, you know what? One of the real reasons that I was going to go or one of the benefits I thought it'd be because I was going to meet this person. And okay, I'm not going to go. There'll be another conference that I could attend in the future. I could call all those people that I did know and say, hey, I had some last minute. I was hoping to catch up with you at this conference. Unfortunately, I had some last minute change of plans. And so some of the potential results were the same. Now, sure, there would be things that you can't replicate by not attending. And it also opens up other opportunities for you to do some other things. Right. I think it's just as we start thinking about what are the expectations that we have, we build up the value of the pathway to the point where we're like, if it changes, now we're worried about, okay, what am I going to do next? And what, did I make a right or wrong choice again, which I'm not sure there is a right or wrong choice.
Well, and that's what I'm struggling with this morning, believe it or not. Now that we've talked through this, which I told you before the program, I thought we'd end up talking through it. What I didn't plan for was to talk through it to the point where now I'm questioning my decision not to go. Like literally, as you were talking, I'm like, wouldn't be that hard to pack. I could probably be out the door by 7:45. It's a 6-hour drive. That's 2:00. Yeah, I could still do it. And I think that's the other part of the fear is once we've made a decision, we're so busy trying to figure out if it's right or wrong when everything's changed. The minute I decided not to go, the whole framework changed. Then it's a different discussion. Okay, now I have 2 days. What will I do with those 2 days that could be as productive or more so than not going or than going?
Well, and I would go back to, why does there have to be a right or wrong reason to choose? I think that's the challenge. What if we just said, I'm
for me. I'm always looking for right and wrong.
Right. So just make a choice and stick with it and say, okay, that was a choice I made. I can't control the results. I'm just going to make this choice and then I'll see what happens and then I'll learn from it. I think so often we make choices in an effort to get results we desire. Right. Sadly, 90% of the time, we don't control those results. And so we're making a choice based on something we can't control, which makes it really easy to either be afraid of it or at the end to go back and say, well, that was right or that was wrong or should have, could have, would have, might have. What would it take to get to the point where you could say, you know what, I made the choice based on the information that I had at the time.
Right.
The information you had at the time didn't seem to make sense to go out there for that person. If Knucklehead me hadn't said anything about that, hadn't walked us down this pathway, you would have felt great about your choice and be like, you know what, I feel good about that. It would have been fun to go and I now have 2 days to move forward. And so I think that the challenge is, can we make decisions? We make decisions in an effort to get the results. Can we make those decisions and understand that we can't control the results anyways? So yes, we are making a choice to try to move down the pathway we desire to achieve the goals we have, not knowing what the results of those choices are going to be. Can we let go of the results? And rather than beat ourselves up about it, just say, hey, this is what I learned. And what could I do differently the next time? Again, I think that's the thing about it is if you walked through that process that we talked about, okay, you made a choice, took an action. Your action was deciding not to go. Could you say, okay, well, what went well with that choice? What didn't go as I thought? And you might not be able to understand that for a little bit. And then what would I do differently in the future? So when those things come up, so next year, as you're considering this conference, you might say, you know what, I remember the last time I was only going to go because I was going to meet this person and then build some things around it. And the more I thought about it, I was like, that might be just a good place to be. Because of my connections, the engagement I have, the people I know. And so your reason for going out next time could be different. And it could just be, I believe this is a good place for me to be based on this. Okay. And if I can add other things that even add more value to it, great. Knowing that, there's a pretty good chance, there's a chance that you could go out to that. Every single person that you know doesn't show up. So you can either be frustrated by it or you can say, okay, this is what happened. Now, what's the new choice that I could make? You could turn around and drive home. Or you could say, hey, maybe there's the opportunity here. I could meet some new people. And it doesn't, the results don't have as much of an impact. The expected results that I received that weren't expected don't have as much an impact on me because I've learned from it and I can choose to do something differently.
Wow. You're making a big ask though. To separate the results from the actions we take is really hard. I mean, I know you and I talk about it all the time, focus on the actions, celebrate the actions, don't celebrate the results. I get that. But I struggle with it every day.
Well, I think it's a matter of there's nothing wrong with celebrating the results. There's nothing wrong with being frustrated with the results. That's human nature. It's how long we live in that frustration or in that or in the celebration. The sooner we can say, you know what, I couldn't control that. That was out of my control. Doesn't mean that I'm not disappointed. Doesn't mean that I'm not ecstatic. It just means that, so to me, the sooner you can go to what do I learn from that? Not just, that was right or wrong or some judgment. It's just, okay, how do I get to an understanding of what did I learn so that I can make maybe a different decision the next time it comes around, or I can make a differently informed decision because now I have new knowledge, experience, or perspective. So next year rolls around, there's the opportunity that you would look at that opportunity, that action differently. Maybe, or maybe you're not affected by it at all and say the only real reason for me to go, and that's okay. That's what's real for you. That's all right.
Right.
So I think that it's like, I'm not saying that results don't matter. They do. What I'm saying is how we react to them and how long we get stuck in the results that are usually temporary. And again, this goes back to why renegades aren't reckless. Because reckless action.
We brought that out. We haven't brought that out in a couple months. Hey, folks, you've caught history here.
Thought you'd like that. Well, because I think one of the things that happens is there are some results that are permanent and that have a significant impact on what we do.
Yeah, if you quit a job and leave a job, that's permanent.
Yeah, if you go and decide to drive while you're texting or doing something else, those are reckless decisions that could lead to significant results. And I think that, so I don't want to be so callous as just, or not callous, cavalier to just say, results don't, whatever. You just make a choice and you can live with the results. When you make reckless choices, there can be some significant consequences, which again, sometimes you learn with. I made this choice. So now what are the results? And I have to live with the results of my actions. And I think there is, the people who are able to not judge themselves as much if their actions led to something differently, something that was significant, impact. I think those who can start to be like, okay, I can't change what's happened. All I can change is what I do moving forward. And, I think, and again, I trust me, I have those same challenges as everyone else. And I believe that the more I talk about things like this, the more comfortable I am with, okay, I tried it. Didn't go, there were some things that didn't go as planned. We talked a couple of weeks ago, I went and did this presentation, these two classes that I taught. And, the one I felt there was a lot of really positive things about it and things I could learn. The other one, I kind of was struggling with and worried about going in, and yet I did it. And did it get the results I desired? No. And I could have languished in that and been like, oh God, maybe I'm just going to happen every time I give a presentation, or just say, okay, what could I learn from that? What could I maybe do differently that would get me different results? I think the sooner we can think about actions as ways to learn, knowing that we're going to get some result, but the result we usually can't control. Does that make any sense?
It does. It makes a lot of sense. Are you ready for my one thing?
I just want to put a comment in here that we had pop up. I'm not sure who shared this, but someone said they couldn't agree with you more. It's probably Bob.
It is.
You wrote that?
You quote my comments. It's great.
Well,
I've now figured out how I can get more time on this program.
Leaders get off the spinning wheel to figure things out. I didn't think that you commented unless you were replying to.
I was.
Someone else. Okay. Anyhow.
Gotcha.
All right. I'm ready for your one thing. Let's hear it.
I actually wrote down, which I never do. You said earlier.
I saw you writing, and I thought that
we build up the value of our pathway. And I think that's a really profound statement, that we do build it up, that the value of that pathway as we make a decision goes up, 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 so that it almost becomes an impossible situation. We've set it up to be more than it could possibly be. And as a result, we're often disappointed. It's almost like we self-fulfill that prophecy that's going to go wrong.
Or that it's going to go unbelievably well.
Right. Yeah, you're right. It could go, yeah, either way.
We're looking at the extremes because it's been built up so much.
And usually it's in our head that we build it up.
Yes. Yeah, and you could say, and I hate to say this because I don't want you to have more confusion, that
oh boy,
that you built up how silly it would be for you to go to make this trip.
I did.
And it would be a complete waste of time. And now since the one thing that I planned on didn't go as planned.
Oh boy.
Here's what I'm going to say to you though. You made a choice.
Yes. Live with it.
Live with it. And then learn from it. Because there's a chance, I hate to say this as well, and I'm going to, that the person you were going to meet calls you up in 5 days or next week and says, geez, you know what, I'm sorry I didn't get to catch up with you. My schedule actually changed a little bit and I had more time than I thought. I was just really worried about all these other things I had to do. And then you can beat yourself up. Well, why did I make that decision not to go? I could have, there had to be some time at the bar or whatever that we could have connected. And
you just, this is painful.
Why? Why is it painful?
It's real.
Okay. You made a choice. Do you know that that's going to happen?
No, I don't know anything that's going to happen.
Sure. So just say, okay, I made this choice. Let's see what happens from it. And then I'll maybe think differently. And so the next time that someone who is planning to be at a conference that you wanted to connect with says they're not able to meet, you might, one, have been like, well, that wasn't the only reason I was going. I was going for other reasons as well. And be like, oh, okay, great. And you might end up finding out that the person actually who thought they were going to have no time, someone cancels on them. And so now they have this free time. So maybe it's worthwhile to go, and maybe that making the trip not about it. That's something for you to learn based on the new choice you have made.
So much to learn. And what's your one thing?
My one thing around choosing a pathway and the fear is, I think the fear is always going to be there. It's always going to be there. It's human nature. And of course, we want to make decisions. We want to take actions that are going to help us down our pathway. And part of that is choosing a pathway. And of course, when like last week, we spent a lot of time talking about exploring your options. The more you do that, the more pathways you're going to have to choose. And I think it's going to be a lot easier to be fearful. And I think that if you just say, you know what, this isn't a reckless decision. It's based on the information that I have at the time. And so, and I have some ideas about what the results I'm hoping for. I can't control those. So I'm going to just make a choice. And yes, the fear is there. And the fear is almost like, okay, it's telling me to remember that this is important. Because if there wasn't fear around it, there wouldn't be much. It's not that much of a big deal.
It doesn't matter.
It's a lot less, right? And so the fact that it matters means it's a great opportunity to learn.
Okay. Well, folks, if you're struggling with fear, with choosing your pathway, anything related to what we've been talking to today, Tom or I know you probably want to talk to Tom after you're hearing me go through my mental gymnastics this morning. But if you'd like to talk to either of us, just direct message us, or you can go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com, or you can find us on all the local social media. We would love to talk to you about how you can better choose your pathway.
Did you hear what you said?
No, I don't listen to me.
You said the local social media. I thought, social media is not just local. Huh?
Wow.
Or there's a way to be local.
I don't know where that came from.
I don't know. If
you've got Facebook for a small community, look for us there.
Which it exists is just interesting that the thought of social media being local. It's what happens when I start listening to the words people use.
Yeah, I recommend not listening to anything I say.
There you go.
at 30 minutes, that's my one thing.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us. We would welcome your one thing if you're willing to share it, want to share. And we know that if you're listening to the podcast, you're unable to share any comments. So please join us in one of our groups. If you're a LinkedIn person, go to the Renegade Success Network for Leaders, and you can join us there and talk more about choosing a pathway. Or if you're a Facebook person, join us at the Ring of Renegades. And you can share your thoughts and ideas, share your value with others, because we know that it'll help them figure out where their next step is, maybe help them choose a pathway. And who knows, you may find just the thing that you're looking for. So we look forward to seeing you inside of those groups. If not, we'll see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time for our next episode of today's Antidote. Have a great day, everyone.
Hey, embrace the renegading you. It is so worth it. Even when you're choosing a pathway, even if you're full of fear, be that renegade you are. You know you can be it. Do it.
You absolutely can. All right, everyone, go out and make it a great day. We'll see you soon. Thanks for listening to today's Antidote, powered by the Renegade Success Network. The Renegade Success Network helps you confidently create your own unique pathway to success. To learn more about the Renegade Success Network and how you can take your next step, follow us on Twitter, connect on LinkedIn, or join the Ring of Renegades Facebook group. For full details on how you can join our community, go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Embrace the renegade in you.